Before I begin, I should probably talk a little bit about this film first. I should start by saying that there was a lot riding on this film. Seeing that the last 3 movies released by Pixar were considered less than spectacular, but seeing all of the great reviews gave me, and a large portion of Pixar fans, some hope. But I remember a major concern for me being that the teaser trailer, much like all of Brave's trailers, were a little vague and didn't reveal much of anything. The reason I didn't like Brave was because the marketing led me to believe that the film would be an epic fantasy story with lots of magic and lore, but instead we just got Brother Bear in Scotland. However, unlike Brave, as time went on we actually started to learn a little more about the plot, and now that the film is released I can finally do a review. So let's talk about Inside Out. The story. To put it simply, this film is about 5 emotions who control a little girl named Riley. But one day something goes wrong with her core memories, and 2 of Riley's emotions, joy and sadness, have to get back to headquarters and fix it before anger, fear, and disgust completely mess up Riley's life. Personally, I think the story in this movie is very creative, and although there were some points where I could predict where it was going, I never really cared because of the excellent writing and hilarious gags. And yes, as I said, it was fairly predictable, but we only have the trailers to blame on that one. There were lots of points where the film got very heartfelt and sweet. This was a nice contrast to the quirky adventure with all sorts of creative settings like Imagination Land and Dream Productions, and all of the different personality islands. So in all, I don't have much complaints about the story Inside Out. The characters. With the film being about emotions inside someone's brain, you would think that they lack any sort of arc because they can only act one way and one way only throughout the entire film. And although I would say that fear, disgust, and anger lack the depth of joy and sadness, they make up for it by providing the comedic relief throughout the otherwise heavy themes of growing up and feeling conflicting emotions. Joy seems to be your typical optimistic protagonist, but as the film goes on, you start to see a lot more about her that helps the audience care about her more. Sadness, on the other hand, is very pessimistic, so this gives Joy a nice arc about trying to find things that sadness is useful for. Fear, disgust, and anger, as I said earlier, definitely lack depth, but they make up for it with hilarious jokes all the way through. Then there are some other characters who live in the mind, being Bing Bong and a couple of mind workers. The mind workers aren't really in the film that much, so it's kind of hard to talk about them. What I can say is that they definitely provide some pretty funny jokes, including one that is repeated throughout the film and serves as a running joke throughout the movie. Bing Bong is a very interesting character. I think this because instead of just being the goofy comic relief, he's also a character that I personally felt sad for, and I wanted him to achieve his end goal by the end of the movie. But of course, there are some other characters outside of the mind, being Riley, Riley's mother, and Riley's father. There are others too, but pretty much all of them serve no real purpose in the film. Riley's a very great character, who I related to almost instantly. I found her likable, and I enjoyed all of the interesting character details that were put in to help the audience feel like she's a real person. Riley's parents, on the other hand, are mostly forgettable, although they do provide some great gags as well. This film looks absolutely amazing. I can't stress this enough. Honestly, there isn't much else I can say. It looks great, and I was mesmerized by all the bright colors and nice-looking textures throughout the film. The one complaint I have is that in the real world, the character designs are a little jarring when compared to the realistic textures and backgrounds. Lava. Of course, by now you might be wondering what I thought of the latest Pixar short, Lava, that was shown alongside this movie. I can say that although the animation is nice and the song was catchy enough, it was not exactly one of my favorite Pixar shorts. I can't really go in depth without spoiling the entire thing, so I'm not going to say any more about it. My rating for Lava? 7 out of 10. So overall, I would have to say that Inside Out is now one of my favorite Pixar movies, and I can proudly say that it belongs alongside the classics like Toy Story, Monsters, Inc., and Finding Nemo. With a great story, hilarious characters, and creative animation, it's not hard to see why I give Inside Out 10 out of 10.